The large meeting hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Jack Harrison walked to the speaking platform. He was the last human ambassador most of these aliens would ever see. His steps echoed across the polished floor as representatives from over 200 species watched. Some leaned forward with interest. Others sat back with clear dislike on their alien faces. Jack did not rush. He was a tall man with gray at his temples who had spent 15 years trying to make the aliens see humans as equals. Today, he would stop trying. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Jack said in a clear voice. For 50 years, humanity has been part of this community. For 50 years, we have shared our ideas, our technology, and our friendship. He paused and looked around the room. The blue-skinned Meraki delegate avoided his eyes. The insect-like Zith clicked their mandibles nervously. For 50 years, we have been told to wait our turn. That our species is too young, too unpredictable. That we must earn our place. Jack's voice remained calm, but something in it made several delegates shift uncomfortably. We have watched as our medical breakthroughs were used across the galaxy, yet we were denied a vote on health policy. Our ships helped secure trade routes while we were told we didn't understand galactic commerce. Our soldiers died defending worlds whose representatives sit in this very room, who then voted against our full membership. The draconian representative stood up. Ambassador Harrison, if this is another human complaint about voting rights. This is not a complaint, Jack said. This is a goodbye. A murmur ran through the hall. The word was translated into hundreds of languages through the delegates' earpieces. As of today, humanity is withdrawing from all galactic affairs. Our embassies will close. Our ships will return to our space. Our technology and personnel will come home. Now there was real noise as delegates turned to each other. Some looked relieved. Others looked worried. This is not a negotiation tactic, Jack continued once the noise died down. The decision is final and unanimous among Earth's nations and colonies. On screens around the galaxy, humans watched the speech. Karen Foster stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Horizon. She was the commander of Earth's defense fleet, a woman with dark skin and sharp eyes. She gave the order that human captains across the galaxy have been waiting for. All ships begin withdrawal procedures. Across the vast reaches of space, human vessels changed course. They left patrol routes. They pulled out of joint fleet operations. They departed from space stations, not with weapons fired or in panic, but in perfect, practiced order. In a medical research lab on Proxima Station, Dr. Sam Wilson carefully packed up his research on the Vraxian plague. His alien colleagues watched with growing concern. "You don't have to do this, Sam," said Dr. Leth, a green-skinned Tellurian. "Your work here is valued." Sam looked up with a sad smile. Valued, but not respected. There's a difference. In the trading hub of New Singapore, human shop owners put up closed signs. Human security teams handed over their duties to alien replacements. Human teachers said goodbye to their students. Back in the council hall, Jack finished his speech. We do not leave in anger. We leave because we must focus on our own path now. Humanity tried to be good neighbors, but neighbors must respect each other. The Andorian representative, one of the few who had supported humans, stepped forward. "Ambassador, please. This is too drastic. The council can reconsider human status." Jack shook his head. "It's too late. We're not slamming the door, but we are walking through it." He stepped down from the platform. No shouting. No threats. Just a man walking away. As Jack left the council hall for the last time, he heard the noise rise behind him. Some voices sounded relieved. Some sounded worried. None of them yet understood what they had lost. 6 months had passed since the humans left. Alan Miller sat in his garden on Earth, watching the sunset. The retired engineer had spent 30 years building communication systems across the galaxy. Now he watched the news on his tablet and shook his head. System failures reported across Sector 7. The news anchor said, The Galactic Council has requested emergency technical teams to address growing infrastructure problems. Ellen took a sip of his coffee. He knew those systems. He had designed many of them himself. The aliens had always nodded politely when he explained the maintenance requirements, but few had bothered to learn the details. They thought our tech would run forever without us, he muttered to himself. Across town, Susan Grant received another message on her private channel. The xenobiologist had returned to Earth with thousands of research samples and a heavy heart. The message was from her former colleague, Dr. Ixel of the Centauri Medical Academy. Please, Susan, the viral containment protocols are failing. No one understands the updates you implemented. Patients are dying. Susan closed her eyes. Part of her wanted to help. But Earth's government had been clear. No assistance without recognition. She sent a brief reply. I'm sorry, my hands are tied. In space, the changes were becoming obvious. The trade route between Proxima and the Rigelian systems had been secured by human peacekeepers for decades. Now ships disappeared. Pirates who had once feared human military response grew bold. The small transport ship Starlight drifted, its hull breached by weapon fire. Its Paxian crew huddled in the emergency shelter. They had been carrying medical supplies. The humans would have come by now. The captain said, checking their distress beacon again. Their patrols never took more than 6 hours to respond. They waited 3 days before help arrived. At the Galactic Council headquarters, now missing its human delegation, an emergency session was called. The grand hall that had once seen Jack Harrison's farewell now held anxious representatives from across the galaxy. The Solani have annexed 2 more systems this month, reported the Thalian ambassador, a thin being with silvery skin. They claim they are providing security in the absence of human patrols. The Zith representative clicked his mandibles in agitation. The humans kept the Solani in check for years through diplomacy alone. Now they take what they want. The head of the council, High Minister Dex, raised his 3-fingered hand for silence. We must adapt to the human absence. We managed the galaxy before they arrived. We will do so again. But many delegates exchanged doubtful looks. Before humans, the galaxy had been a different place. Less connected, less advanced. The humans had brought an energy and innovation that had changed everything in a mere 50 years. On the human colony of Nuterra, Karen Foster met with Earth's leadership. The fleet commander's uniform was crisp as always, but her expression was troubled. Our intelligence networks report growing instability, she said, displaying a star map marked with red zones. The Galactic Council is losing control of outer regions. Some smaller species are suffering badly without human medical support. President Laura Wilson nodded. She was a practical woman with a streak of gray in her dark hair. Are there any official requests for our return? None that meet our terms, Karen replied. They want our help, but not our voice. Then we continue as planned, the president said firmly. We focus on ourselves, our colonies, our future. The galaxy made its choice. Later that evening, Karen stood at the viewport of the orbital station, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, civilizations that had dismissed humans were beginning to feel the tremors of their absence. A junior officer approached. Commander, we've detected unusual activity at the edge of our space. Several ships of unknown origin. Refugees? Karen asked. Possibly. They're keeping their distance, just watching. Karen nodded slowly. They're learning, Lieutenant. They're beginning to understand what they've lost. In the vastness of space, the first cracks were showing in a galaxy that had taken humans for granted. 1 year had passed since the humans left. The problems that began as small inconveniences had grown into serious crises across the galaxy. Paul Wright sat in his home office on Earth's moon colony. The former liaison to Alien Technology Guild stared at his screen, reading yet another message from beyond human space. This one came from the Tellurian High Engineer, once a proud alien who had dismissed human concerns. Please, Paul. Our central power grid is failing. The human upgrades you installed 5 years ago need maintenance that our engineers cannot perform. Millions will lose life support if the system fails. Paul rubbed his tired eyes. This was the 12th such message he had received this week. He drafted a careful reply. I must remind you that Earth's policy remains firm. Without official recognition of humanity's equal status, no technical assistance can be provided. His finger hovered over the send button. Then he added, however, I am attaching basic repair instructions as a personal courtesy. This does not represent official human policy. It wasn't much, but it might save lives. Paul knew he was bending the rules, but complete indifference felt wrong, even after how humans had been treated. On the other side of Earth, Nancy Chen analyzed the latest data in her research lab. The economist had been tracking galactic patents and technological advancement for 20 years. Her screen displayed a graph with a sharp downward line. 42%, she told her team. Galactic innovation has dropped by nearly half since human withdrawal. New patents are down. Technical improvements are down. Medical breakthroughs have almost stopped entirely. Her assistant looked troubled. Will Earth's leadership use this as leverage? Nancy shrugged. They might, but the point wasn't to punish the galaxy. It was to make them recognize our value. Outside Earth's atmosphere, an unusual ship approached. It carried the Andorian ambassador, one of the few alien supporters humans had on the old council. President Laura Wilson agreed to meet this delegation, though she had refused all others. The meeting took place in the White House. The blue-skinned Andorian bowed deeply to the human president. Madam President, I come on behalf of a desperate galaxy. The Council has authorized me to offer new terms for humanity's return. President Wilson's face remained neutral. What terms? A permanent seat on the High Council, veto power over security matters, direct control of 2 major trade routes. A year ago, such an offer would have seemed generous. Now, it was clearly insufficient. The issue was never about special privileges, the president replied. It was about equal standing for all species, regardless of how long they've been part of galactic society. Your offer still treats humans as newcomers who should be grateful for scraps from the table. The Andorian's antennae drooped. Please reconsider. Many systems are suffering. As humans suffered for decades while being told to wait our turn, the president stood, signaling the end of the meeting. When the Council is prepared to offer true equality to all species, not just humans, we will listen. After the aliens departed, Karen Foster met with the president in the Oval Office. Was that wise? The fleet commander asked. We could have leveraged that offer into significant advantages. The president looked out the window at the Washington Monument gleaming in the sun. This isn't about advantage. It's about principle. If we accept special treatment now, nothing really changes. The system remains broken, just with humans getting better seats. Karen nodded slowly. And our people? What do they think of continued isolation? The president smiled slightly. Surprising as it may seem, most are thriving. Without galactic commitments, we've been able to focus on our own development. Earth's environment is healing. Our colonies are growing. Our technology is advancing faster without the distractions of constant crisis. Outside the White House, ordinary humans went about their lives. Children played in parks that were cleaner and greener than they had been in centuries. Workers commuted on efficient transport systems developed in the past year. Artists created new works inspired by Earth's renewed focus on itself. The galaxy might be struggling without humans, but humans were rediscovering how to live for themselves. 2 years after humanity walked away, the galaxy faced its breaking point. Eric Johnson sat with his family for dinner in their home on Earth's moon colony. His children listened wide-eyed as the former communications specialist explained the news everyone was talking about. The entire galactic communication network went down yesterday, Eric said, cutting his food. Ships can't talk to each other. Planets can't send messages. It's chaos out there. His daughter Lily looked confused. But why can't the aliens fix it? Eric smiled sadly. Because they never bothered to learn how it really worked. I helped build that system. We designed it to need updates every 2 years. The code is complex. We offered to teach them, but they always said they'd get around to learning it later. Outside their dome home, Earth shone blue and peaceful in the black sky. Inside human space, everything worked perfectly. Beyond their borders, the galaxy unraveled. On the edge of human territory, a small fleet of alien ships appeared. They weren't military vessels, but civilian ships packed with desperate passengers. The lead ship carried representatives from the Nyrics, a peaceful species known for their healing arts. "We come seeking human help," their message said simply. "The Vraxian plague has returned to our worlds. Without human medical science, we face extinction." The Vraxian plague had nearly wiped out 3 species before humans developed a treatment. Now it was back, spreading through systems where human doctors once worked. President Laura Wilson faced her advisors in the White House. The debate was heated. "We can't just let them die," said Health Minister George Baker. "We have the cure. It would take minimal effort to share it. If we help the Nyrics, others will come," countered Defense Minister Rita Ortiz. "They rejected our terms. They must learn their lesson." The president looked at the images of suffering Nyrics children. "The galaxy must learn its lesson," she agreed. "But I won't use children to teach it." She authorized humanitarian aid for the Nyrics, but only if they remained in quarantine zones near Earth space. No return to the larger galactic community. Meanwhile, the communication blackout grew worse. Without the network, trade stopped. Without trade, food shortages began on worlds that relied on imports. Without coordination, pirates and aggressive species like the Solani took whatever they wanted. In his apartment on Mars, Eric Johnson received an encrypted message from an old colleague, a Tellurian named Vex. "The council has collapsed, Eric," the message said. "Regional governments are forming, but no one can coordinate. The Solani have taken control of 3 major trade hubs. Smaller species are pledging loyalty to them for protection. We were wrong about humans. So very wrong." Eric didn't reply. There was nothing to say that would help. On a border station, Dr. Susan Grant broke protocol. She smuggled medical data to her former alien colleagues, showing them how to produce the Vraxian plague treatment. It was technically against Earth's isolation policy, but she couldn't watch more children die. "If they report me, I'll be arrested," she told her assistant. "They won't report you," the young man said confidently. "They need us too much now." In Earth's high orbit, the observation satellites detected more ships approaching from different directions. Not just a few desperate refugees now, but hundreds of vessels. Some carried diplomats. Some carried the wealthy seeking safety. Some carried ordinary families fleeing the collapse. Admiral Karen Foster brought the report to President Wilson personally. "They're coming in greater numbers now," she said, showing the sensor data. "Not just asking for help anymore. They're begging for it." The president looked at the images for a long time. 2 years, she said quietly. "I thought it would take longer for them to break." Karen nodded. "Turns out humans were holding more together than anyone realized. The question now is, do we let them in?" As night fell across Earth, millions of humans went about their lives, untroubled by the galactic crisis. But in the darkness of space, the lights of desperate ships grew more numerous, like stars converging on the one place that still offered hope. 3 years had passed since humanity's withdrawal. While Earth's official stance remained firm, individual humans had begun to act on their own. Dr. Diane Powell moved quietly through the makeshift hospital on Proxima Outpost. The retired doctor had gray hair and kind eyes that had seen too much suffering. This small station floated just beyond official human space, technically independent but run mostly by humans who couldn't stand by and watch the galaxy suffer. "The new batch of medicine is ready," her assistant whispered, handing her a case of vials. "We can treat another 100 Nyrics children." Diane nodded. "Make sure the supply ships take different routes this time. The government is getting suspicious." Officially, Earth did not help the galaxy that had rejected them. Unofficially, a network of humans had begun providing aid where they could. Diane had started with just 3 other doctors. Now her underground medical network included over 200 human healthcare workers operating in secret. On the other side of the outpost, Steve Martinez met with representatives from 6 different alien species. The former diplomat now ran what he called the unofficial bridge, a connection between desperate aliens and willing humans. "We can get food shipments to the Tellurian colonies," Steve explained to the group. "But we need safe corridors. The Tsilani patrols are getting more aggressive." A blue-skinned Mareki female looked troubled. "The Tsilani control half the trade routes now. They say they're establishing order, but they take whatever they want from smaller worlds." Steve leaned forward. "That's why we need your ships to escort our transports. My people are risking everything to help. We need protection." The Mareki nodded slowly. "You have it. Many of us remember how we treated humans. We are trying to make it right." As the meeting ended, Steve gazed out the viewport at the stars. Earth's government would consider him a traitor, but he had seen too many desperate faces to stand by and do nothing. Back on Earth, Karen Foster reviewed intelligence reports in her office. The Admiral knew about the unofficial aid networks. Many in the military quietly supported them, though they couldn't say so openly. "The Galactic Council held its final session yesterday," her aide reported. "They couldn't even agree on basic security measures. It's officially dissolved." Karen wasn't surprised. Without humans keeping things running, the once mighty council had lost power and credibility. Now regional powers fought for control of the galaxy. "What about the new colonies in the neutral zone?" Karen asked. "Growing rapidly. Over 20 million aliens have moved to human border worlds. Many are working with our people, learning our technologies, building new communities. These mixed colonies have become something unexpected, places where humans and aliens worked as true equals. No council rules, no ancient prejudices, just people trying to survive together." On one such colony, New Hope, a human teacher named Bill Owens taught alien children alongside human ones. Their small school had started in a converted cargo bay. Now it filled a proper building. "Today we're learning about Earth history," Bill told his class, "about how different human nations learned to work together despite their differences." A young Sith child raised a clawed hand. "Is that why humans are helping us even though the council was mean to you?" Bill smiled. "Some humans remember what it's like to need help. And some of us believe that you don't abandon people just because their leaders made mistakes." That evening, as New Hope's twin suns set, Bill met with other colony leaders. Their settlement had grown from 500 to nearly 50,000 in just 2 years. "Earth sent another message," said the colony administrator. "They still won't officially recognize us, but they've accidentally sent twice the supplies we requested." The group laughed. It was an open secret that many in Earth's government supported their work while maintaining the official isolation policy. As night fell, ships arrived carrying more refugees, more aliens seeking the stability and safety that now existed only near human space. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around humanity, not through conquest or dominance, but through the simple fact that human ingenuity and compassion had become essential to galactic survival. And the unofficial bridges between humanity and the stars grew stronger each day. 4 years after humanity's withdrawal, the remains of the Galactic Council gathered one last time. The grand hall that had once housed representatives from hundreds of worlds now held less than 50. The ornate ceiling had begun to leak. The translation systems worked only intermittently. "This session is pointless," said the draconian representative, rising from his seat. "We have no authority left. The outer systems ignore our directives. The Tsilani laugh at our protests as they take what they want." No one argued. The truth was plain to see. Without humans maintaining the complex systems that had held galactic civilization together, everything was falling apart. As the last council members departed, a new gathering formed on the neutral world of Centauri Prime. Here, representatives from over 300 species met in a simple, functional hall. They had come together not by ancient tradition or political maneuvering, but out of desperate necessity. "We propose a new beginning," announced Vex, the Tellurian who had once worked alongside humans. "A new galactic alliance with equal representation for all species, regardless of how long they have been part of galactic society." Murmurs ran through the crowd. This idea, equality regardless of species age, had been a human demand for decades. Further, Vex continued, "We propose that this alliance formally invite humanity to return as founding members, with full voting rights on all matters." Back on Earth, Frank Davis reviewed the proposal in the president's office. The diplomatic advisor had gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "They're offering everything we asked for," Frank said, looking up from his tablet. "Equal representation, protection for developing species, ethical guidelines for technology sharing." President Laura Wilson studied the star map on her wall. Earth and its colonies glowed blue, a small but bright spot in the vast galaxy. "And what do we gain by rejoining them now?" she asked. "We're doing fine on our own." Frank nodded. "Better than fine. Our technology has advanced faster without distractions. Our colonies are thriving. But we're still human. And humans build things, connect things, fix things. It's what we do." The president smiled slightly. "You think we're getting bored?" "I think we've made our point," Frank replied. "They need us more than we need them. Now we can return on our terms." In the research labs of New Cambridge, Lisa Brown oversaw the final tests of the new FTL drive. The head of Earth's scientific corps watched as the engine glowed with energy, stable and controlled. "4 years of focused research," she said to her team. "We've advanced decades beyond where we were when we left the council." One of her assistants, a young physicist, looked up from his readings. "Do you think we'll share this with the rest of the galaxy if we go back?" Lisa considered the question. "On our terms, yes. The galaxy has learned a hard lesson about taking humans for granted. We won't make the same mistakes again." On the colony world of New Hope, the population had grown to nearly 1 million. Humans worked alongside aliens as equals, building a society that blended the best of many worlds. When news arrived that Earth might rejoin galactic society, the residents gathered in the main plaza. Bill Owens stood with his family, his arm around his wife, Maria. Their adopted Nerek's daughter held his hand tightly. "What will happen now?" Maria asked. "Will Earth shut down places like New Hope?" Bill shook his head. "I don't think so. These colonies have shown what's possible when species work together as equals. We're the future they were too stubborn to see before." In orbit above Earth, a small delegation of alien ships waited for permission to land. They carry the architects of the new Galactic Alliance, come to formally invite humanity to return. Admiral Karen Foster's ships surrounded them, a reminder of human strength. But they came in peace, with escort vessels, not weapons. "Shall I grant them landing clearance, Madam President?" Karen asked over the secure channel. President Wilson took a deep breath. 4 years ago, humanity had walked away to teach the galaxy a lesson. Now they could walk back, not as supplicants, but as equals, perhaps even as leaders. "Permission granted," she said. "Let's hear what they have to say." The galaxy had felt humanity's absence. Now it would feel their return. 5 years after humanity's withdrawal, the negotiations for their return began. Luna Base, Earth's oldest off-world settlement, hosted the historic meeting. The glass dome of the conference center offered a stunning view of Earth rising over the lunar landscape. Jason Taylor led the human diplomatic team. He was younger than most expected, just 42, with a calm manner and unwavering focus. Across the table sat representatives from the newly formed Galactic Alliance. "We appreciate your willingness to meet with us," said Vex, the Tellurian chief negotiator. The blue-skinned alien spoke with careful respect. "The galaxy has changed since your departure." Jason nodded slightly. That was inevitable. Systems require maintenance. Communities require cooperation. The first day of talks established the basic framework. Humans would return to galactic affairs gradually, beginning with technical assistance for critical infrastructure. In exchange, the new Galactic Charter would guarantee equal voting rights for all member species. Behind closed doors, the human team reviewed their progress. "They're accepting all our terms without argument," said Megan Ross, a sharp-eyed legal expert. 5 years ago, they wouldn't even discuss these ideas. Jason tapped his stylus on the table. "Desperation makes for motivated negotiators. But we need to ensure these changes will last beyond the current crisis." The negotiations continued for weeks. For the first time in galactic history, alien representatives lived and worked on a human world. They saw firsthand how human society had continued to thrive in isolation. The Ziv ambassador was particularly impressed by Earth's new transport system, faster and more efficient than anything in the rest of the galaxy. The Meraki delegation studied human medical facilities with barely disguised envy. "You've advanced so quickly while we've been struggling just to maintain what we had," admitted the Andorian representative during an informal dinner. Jason smiled politely. "Focus has its benefits. Without the distractions of galactic politics, our scientists and engineers concentrated on our own needs." What he didn't say was that humanity had gained more than just technological advantages. They had gained perspective. The years of separation had shown both humans and aliens what each truly offered the other. On the 23rd day of negotiations, the final terms were agreed upon. The new Galactic Charter established equal representation for all species, regardless of their technological advancement or how long they had been part of galactic society. It also included strong protections for developing species, something humans had advocated for years. No longer would newly spacefaring races be treated as second-class members of the galactic community. "There is one more condition," Jason said as the final session neared its end. "The mixed colonies that have formed along our borders, New Hope, Harmony, and the others, must be recognized as sovereign entities with their own representation." Some alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. These colonies, where humans and aliens lived as equals, represented a new way of thinking about species relationships. "They have shown us a better path forward," Jason continued. "They deserve a voice in our new alliance." After brief consultation, the alien delegation agreed. The new charter was signed that evening in a simple ceremony. Later, as the alien ships prepared to depart, Jason stood with Admiral Karen Foster at the observation deck. "Do you think it will last?" Karen asked, watching the ships power up. "Or will they forget again once their systems are running smoothly?" Jason considered the question. "They won't forget. Not this time. We didn't just leave a technological gap when we walked away. We left a philosophical one." Karen raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" "Meaning they learned that advancement isn't just about building better ships or faster computers. It's about how you treat others." Jason smiled slightly. "Especially those you think you don't need." As the alien ships departed, messages were already being sent across the galaxy. Humanity was returning, not as supplicants, but as architects of a new galactic order. On worlds that had suffered for years without human expertise, people looked to the stars with hope again. The long darkness was ending. The humans were coming back. 6 years after humanity walked away, they formally returned to galactic affairs. The new Galactic Alliance headquarters opened on neutral ground, a space station orbiting the star Barnard. Its design blended architectural styles from dozens of species, with humans contributing the efficient life support systems that made it all work. Kelly Martinez stood at the center of the Grand Assembly Hall. The daughter of Steve Martinez, who had run the underground network during the separation years, she now served as humanity's first representative to the new alliance. At 34, she embodied the new generation of human diplomats, those who understood both the need for independence and the value of connection. "Today marks not just humanity's return," Kelly said to the assembled delegates from across the galaxy, but the beginning of a truly equal partnership among all spacefaring species. The applause that followed came from hundreds of different types of appendages. Species that had once looked down on humans now stood as equals. Species that had once feared humans now welcomed them as protectors. Across the galaxy, human specialists had already begun returning to critical infrastructure projects. On the communications hub in the Regellian system, human engineers worked alongside alien apprentices. "We're not just fixing it this time," explained Peter Wright, a systems expert with graying hair. "We're teaching you how it all works." His Zith trainee clicked her mandibles appreciatively. "My people never thought we could understand human technology. We were told it was too advanced." Peter smiled. "Technology isn't magic. Anyone can learn if they're willing to put in the time." This scene repeated itself on dozens of worlds, humans sharing knowledge rather than just solutions, building understanding rather than dependence. On Earth, Ryan Baker put the finishing touches on his historical documentary. The human historian had spent 2 years gathering testimonies from both humans and aliens about the period now known as the human absence. "What surprised you most about those years?" Ryan asked a Meraki diplomat in his final interview. The blue-skinned alien considered the question carefully. "That we couldn't see what humans truly provided until they were gone. We thought we valued your technology, your military strength, but what we truly needed was your perspective, your way of solving problems, your willingness to challenge traditions." The documentary became required viewing in schools across the galaxy. The lesson had been expensive but clear: no species thrives alone. In his small apartment on Mars, Jack Harrison watched the broadcast of the Alliance inaugural ceremony. Now in his 70s, the former ambassador who had delivered humanity's farewell speech sat quietly with his family. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out this way?" his granddaughter asked, sitting beside him on the couch. Jack smiled. "I hoped, but I didn't know. Sometimes you have to walk away to find out your true worth." On the colony world of New Hope, now recognized as an independent member of the Alliance, celebrations filled the streets. Humans and aliens danced together, shared meals, and told stories of the separation years. What had begun as refugee camps had become thriving communities where species boundaries meant little. Bill Owens, now the colony's education minister, raised a glass with his mixed species family. "To finding each other," he said simply. As the parties continued on 100 worlds, Admiral Karen Foster met with President Laura Wilson one last time before the president's term ended. "Was it worth it?" Karen asked. "All those years of isolation." The president looked out her window at the Washington Monument, gleaming in the evening light. "Ask me in 100 years, but I think so. We didn't just change the galaxy's view of humanity. We changed humanity's view of itself." Across the vast reaches of space, the lights of civilization burned brighter than before. Communication networks hummed with efficiency. Trade routes flowed safely. Medical advances spread to all worlds equally. The galaxy had felt humanity's absence. Now it felt their return. Not as conquerors or saviors, but as neighbors who had finally earned true respect. When humans walked away, the galaxy learned its lesson. When humans returned, everyone walked forward, together.